The court likes to say it's above politics, but their interpretation over whether Colorado can keep former President Trump off the presidential ballot will have momentous implications for the 2024 election, as well as the future of America's democracy.
So we have Fox team coverage for you now. Jonathan Turley and Andy McCarthy will break down how they see the 9 justices ruling based on their line of questioning today.
But first, we go to our chief legal correspondent, Shannon Bream. She is live outside the Supreme Court. That was quite a presentation today, Shannon. Do we have any idea whether or not the justices were swayed one way or the other?
Well, John, they certainly seem to be leaning in favor of the former president, President Trump, and his ability to stay on the ballot in any state that would challenge that under the 14th Amendment. Got to say, though, the first part of this case was very wonky. I know Hemmer was talking about this last hour. I did feel like I was back in a law school lecture, but it finally, towards the last third, probably got to the things everybody gets at home, which is what is the practical impact of this? Justice Kagan was the first to bring up, do you let one state actually make a decision that ripples down to decide this for the whole country? Justice Barrett followed up on that and said, essentially, if we rule for Colorado, that's what would happen here. The Chief Justice also looking into that, and he said, listen, you got to remember, if we say that states can do this, they have the power to do this, there will be some states that will take that and say, great, we're kicking a Dem off of the ballot. Others will say, great, we're going to kick a Republican off the ballot, and maybe leaving just a handful of states to decide this entire election for the entire country. Let me give you a little bit of what Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson had to say today about this list that's in Section 3 of the 14th Amendment about who would be subject to this getting kicked off the ballot if they were found guilty of insurrection.
Your point is that there's no ambiguity with having a list and not having president in it, with having a history that suggests that they were really focused on local concerns in the South, with this conversation where the legislators actually discussed what looked like an ambiguity. You're saying there is no ambiguity in Section 3?
Let me take the point specifically about electors and senators, if I might, because I think that's important. Presidential electors were not covered because they don't hold an office. They vote.
Okay, so they're talking about that list. It include senator, representative, doesn't include president or vice president. She said if there's an ambiguity, why should we construe that against democracy? Seemed very doubtful there. And now a little bit from the Chief Justice that we talked about, what would actually practically potentially happen if they rule for Colorado.
A goodly number of states will say, whoever the Democratic candidate is, you're off the ballot, and others, for the Republican candidate, you're off the ballot. And it'll come down to just a handful of states that are going to decide the presidential election. That's a pretty daunting consequence.
Well, certainly, Your Honor, the fact that there are potential frivolous applications of a constitutional provision isn't a reason.
Well, no, hold on. I mean, you might think they're frivolous, but probably the people who are bringing them may not think they're frivolous. Insurrection is a broad term.
All right, so we won't know a decision for a bit. They're likely to have a closed-door conference vote in the next few days. Then from there, the opinion would actually be written and come out. You guys know this is lightning speed for this court, so I would say you get a decision in a matter of days or weeks, not months. This is not an end-of-the-term June kind of situation.
Shannon, what morning and day this has been. The former president then stepped out of his Mar-a-Lago estate moments after the oral arguments concluded, reacting to what we all heard at the Supreme Court. What did he have to say?
Well, he sounded very positive, and I think that that's accurate because, listen, there were a lot of folks from Trump world and Trump supporters inside the courtroom, even though he wasn't there. He could listen for himself, hear from them, the body language from the justices, get the inside scoop from the courtroom, that it sounded like a good day for him. And listen, there were folks in the courtroom who are not fans of President Trump, including Congressman Jamie Raskin, who led the impeachment drive against him, who hoped to see this case go a very different way. But I think the former president's initial reaction was in line with what we think we'll get from these justices. I think it's probably a win. The question is just how far it goes and whether it's unanimous or not.
There does seem to be broad sense in this country that it's the voters and not officials in the individual states who should decide who becomes president of this great nation. Shannon Bream outside the Supreme Court. Shannon, thank you.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.